Don't forget to donate to the hashtag Daytona Dream 2019 GoFundMe for your chance in January to win one of these 3 Kevin Harvick diecast. Now enjoy the video. As we prepare for the 14th race of the season here for Division 1 of the NNSCRA Skittles Super Speedway Series, we welcome you here this evening under the lights at Riki Raceway, or Riki Super Speedway. It's actually called Riki Raceway, but it really is a super speedway. I'm not really sure why they just call it a raceway, but there you go. 30 laps on tap here tonight, and this is the next to last race that these drivers have for an opportunity to try and get themselves into position to be one of the 8 drivers representing Division 1 in this season's playoffs, the chase for the championship. A couple of drivers have come into this race already locked into the playoffs. Right now, we have a total of 4 confirmed drivers that will be battling for the championship here for Division 1, but there's 4 spots still up for grabs. We could have a couple more drivers clinch spots when the conclusion of this race has ended, but we're going to have to wait and see what takes place during these 30 laps of action. Shane Lake, he extended the different pole sitters sitting on the inside of the front row to 27 with his pole here in Division 1. The streak has come to an end. Benny Watson ended the streak in Division 2 qualifying, but Shane Lake, the last different driver to grab a pole position here in the Skittles Super Speedway Series. Now he comes into this race currently situated in the 24th position in the point standings. And right now, Shane Lake would be out of a playoff spot even if he got a win. He's going to have to definitely get a win, and he's going to need a good run next week as well, as the driver that comes into this race in the 8th seed currently, Jose Millz, is a total of, I think, 5 points ahead of Shane Lake coming into this race. So Shane Lake could certainly use a win, and he really needs a win in order to get himself into the playoffs.
Drivers, start your engines!
And I spent a good portion of that whole opening segment saying absolutely nothing because I got to fit in a lot of information for you guys here under this pace lap. So let's first talk about the point standings for the overall championship for the regular season. Of course, that is a thing. And right now, it is Ashlin Boyd who is currently leading the point standings. Of course, last week's win at Zandvoorts, when Ashlin Boyd was the points to go into that race, certainly helped out a lot. 23 points in hand over Trent Dunham, 29 points over Brady Burkhart. Laurent Lemount currently is 4th. JT Bryant currently sits in the 5th position. Then it's Patrick Zych, Cody Smart, Ryan Butcher, Sebastian Cucalon, Diego Yepez. That is your top 10. 68 points separate the top 10 in the standings. Now, as far as the drivers that are in the playoffs coming into this race for the playoff grid spots, now we have 4 drivers, as I said, that are locked into the playoffs regardless of what happens here this week and next week. 2-time winners Brady Burkhart and Ryan Butcher would be 2 of them, obviously, since they are multi-time winners. And also Ashlin Boyd with his win last week, and Trent Dunham with a win earlier on this season. They are both so high up in the point standings, they are going to make it into the playoffs regardless of what happens here tonight and next week at Orlando. Right now, it's the 5th through 8th seeds that are going to be very interesting to keep an eye on. Sebastian Cucalon right now is 5th, Jessica Shelton 6th, Vance Caldwell 7th, and right now in that critical 8th position is Jose Millz. Drivers he's got to look out for that have a win that are trying to run him down for that 8th seed. Jefferson only 3 points back, and then you've also got Seth Cole. He is only 10 points back from Jose Millz. Hamill, who starts on the outside of the front row, he is only 21 points back, so it's going to be a wild one here tonight at Riki Raceway as we are ready to go. Green flags in the air, let's roll! And I mentioned this back in qualifying as well. They're going to go, no, they aren't going to go 3 wide. I thought Carter Friesen was going to make a move 3 wide there, but I mentioned this back in the qualifying sessions as well. We've got a lot of drivers that haven't gone to victory lane this season that are running well in points, that if they were to go to victory lane here tonight, they would put themselves up potentially in a playoff position. You got Laurent Lemount, JT Bryant, Patrick Zych, Cody Smart, Diego Yepez, Matt Haas, Preston Plourd, Tristan Fowlkes, Austin LaPlante, Philip Goldberg, J.J. Roberts, Carter Friesen, and even Kyle Mathews, Jack Mitchell, Shane Lake, Riley Spurley-Tube, and Jonathan Zoerlein. All those drivers still have a shot with a win here tonight to get themselves potentially into a playoff position. Shane Lake's going to have a little bit of help there in terms of trying to run down Jose Millz points-wise, as he gets a point for leading a lap. Now Laurent Lemount to the inside in the 36. That's for second place on Carter Friesen. James Qualls right there in the 70. Qualls comes into this race dead last in the points, so I don't think it's possible here mathematically for him, even with a win, even if he won the next two races, to finish out the season. I don't think he could get himself up high enough to get into a playoff position, to just trying to finish out the regular season as best he can, as the drivers will start preparing for the playoffs. Of drivers I think you'll be seeing up towards the front not too long from now, and one of them actually making his way to the front, and that is Ashlin Boyd, because Ashlin Boyd, Trent Dunham, we know that they're locked into the playoffs. They only have one win. They'd love to pick up a second win here to tie with the number one seed with Brady Burkhart and Ryan Butcher. 3 wide back there for around the 7th, 8th position, as up front now they start getting racy. That's Jay Jefferson down the bottom for the 3rd position. Remember, Jay Jefferson last week after hardships at Zenjoltis dropped out of a playoff spot, right now 9th of the playoff drivers, and trying to run back down Jose Millz for what would be that final playoff position. And Jose Millz and Jay Jefferson were separated by only 3 points coming into this race, and we haven't seen the 6 up front just yet. Meanwhile, second place, under contest, Jonathan Zoerlein. There's Philip Goldberg. Those are a couple of drivers that I mentioned that a win could put them into playoff contention. Looks like we're going to have our first battle for the lead. Zoerlein with a run to the inside of Shane Lake. Clears him easily as they come out of turn number 2. Everybody gotten back to double wide now. They were 3 wide for a good portion of the beginning of this race as Philip Goldberg switches lanes. He's going to go to the inside line, and he'll put his Toyota out in front. Goldberg 17th in the points. He's ahead of Jose Millz in the standings, just behind Vance Caldwell in points, so he could end up winning this race and being as high as, I think, the number 6 seed in the playoffs, but he has to win. That's what a lot of drivers, that's the key thing for them right now. They have to win. Seth Cole right there in the 33 now in second place. Seth Cole comes into this race 10th of the former winners this season, outside of the playoff position currently. Our Pigs Creek winner, now Diego Yepez going to go to the inside. Yepez 10th in points. A couple of drivers with good runs here tonight that could find themselves locked into playoff positions heading into next week would include Jessica Shelton and Sebastian Cucalon. So we'll see if the 42 and the 02 end up finishing this race out up here in the front of the field. I think if both drivers were able to finish in the top 10 here tonight, they would be locked in to the playoffs, regardless of next week's race at Orlando. As now J.J. Roberts in a battle for second. That's Jonny Gardner. He's got Matt Haas pushing him. And the aforementioned Jessica Shelton is 5th on that inside line. She's making her way up towards the front, trying to get her second win of the season. Former winner this year at Dragonette. Jonny Gardner to the inside of Philip Goldberg. He's going to try and take the top spot. I thought Matt Haas might be peeking out for 3 wide, but he will push the 7 to the lead. So it's the 7 and the 8. 1-2 right now. Tristan Fowlkes, former pole sitter this season, now in 3rd. Shelton up to 4th. And Sakuli, who had great speed last week at Zenjoltis, he's now up in the top 5. Jonny Gardner comes into this race 32nd in the points, outside the top 30 in the standings. Quite a ways back from drivers like Derek Hamill, Seth Cole, and Jay Jefferson, who are all former winners, so I don't know if necessarily a win would put him in playoff contention. Of course, if you think about it, there's a lot of drivers that are outside the top 30 in the points that if they won this race here this week, and if they won next week's race at Orlando and managed to get up in the top 30 in points, 2 wins automatically jumps them over everybody else that has 1 win that's inside the top 30 in points. So, I mean, you look down at the bottom of the list, down outside the top 30, or just inside the top 30, drivers like Joshua Lee, Roger Ray, Eli Bright, Gardner, Taylor, Winkle, maybe even Andrew Miller. If they got back-to-back wins here at Riki and Orlando, they could end up getting themselves into the playoffs by the skin of their teeth. Caution is out for the first time here tonight at Riki Raceway, and it takes place 1/3 of the way through on lap number 9, I believe it was, as the field took the caution going on to lap 10. Looks like we had a wreck on the back straightaway. It's the only one set of skid marks, so it may have just been a single car. And, well, no, actually I see a number of set of skid marks, so never mind. Cody Smart, we're looking at here, is way back in 40th, so he might have been involved in whatever it was. Seth Cole, former winner. He was 18th last time by. Did he get spun here under caution? I think he's going to go back up and get his position. I think we had a wreck under yellow as well. That might have been what the other skid marks were there out of turn 2. JT Bryant also with some left side damage. Doesn't look like that's going to hurt too much, although he does have damage also on the right side. We got drivers hitting pit road. As a matter of fact, I'll be surprised if anyone stays out. Everybody's coming to pit road. Derek Hamill's also got some damage there on the right side of his target Chevrolet. There's Shelton on pit road, and looks like everybody did indeed come to the pit lane. Andrew Miller looks like he may have had a little bit of damage on the right side of his car. Has got a lot of drivers that apparently rolled the dice. And a lot of drivers going to pick up some track position here on pit road. It looks like Sakuli's going to come out with the top position. Well, I didn't see a lot of damaged cars. There were drivers that had some dings and dents, but nobody looks like they're going to be out of this race. So let's go back and take a look to who brought out the caution for the first time here tonight at Riki Raceway. As Joshua Sakuli looks like he will be the leader when we go back green. This is what brought the yellow flag out. This was close to the rear of the field, too. This was, I think, outside of the top 30. 3 wide, JT Bryant, Derek Hamill, and Cody Smart. And I think it was Bryant that kind of triggered that wreck. Looked like he kind of came up into Hamill, who then in turn got up into Cody Smart. Bryant goes down, made a pretty good contact with the inside wall with the left side of his car, and Cody Smart was the one that was basically left spinning on the back straightaway. Fires the car up, gets going again, so that is what brought the yellow flag out. But we did have an incident again out of turn 2 on the cooldown lap. 3 wide here, that's Seth Cole in the middle, Philip Goldberg up top. That's Cole's teammate Andrew Miller down there on the bottom, and it looks like it just got congested there, and I don't know who makes the initial contact. Looks like maybe Jose Millz comes up into Seth Cole. Wow, Goldberg took a shot into the outside retaining wall. Andrew Miller gets clipped and turned around. Jake Rogers back there, right side of your screen, might have gone down and hit the inside retaining wall. And, contact right there for Patrick Zych. Maybe a little contact there for Roger Ray as well, and also Brady Burkhart. A couple of cars tagging the 33 of Seth Cole, who was trying to get his car turned back around. And Cole had crossed the line in the 18th position, and he has spent a little bit extra time on pit road getting damage repaired. I mean, not only is he looking for a good run here tonight, but he's trying to get himself back into playoff competition. Seth Cole right now would be on the outside of the playoff grid looking in. And right now, things off to a bit of a bumpy start here tonight at Riki Raceway. Let's go back for the green. Well, we should be getting the 1 to green signal right here, I do believe, and if so, we would go back green on lap 14 of 30. That is indeed the case, so we will have 17 laps remaining in this race. We do have a car that's still sitting on pit road. That is the 5 of Joshua Lee. You can just barely see him back there behind that hauler. Not sure why he is still on pit road, but I think he's already fallen a lap down to the leaders, and he may lose yet another lap before all is said and done. So we had some varying strategies. Some drivers went with tires, some drivers went fuel only. And I don't know if that's the only pit stop they had to make here tonight or not, with that caution coming out a third of the way through. But Joshua Sakuli comes out the race leader. Tristan Fowlkes will line up in second. Austin LaPlante will be third, with Eli Bright fourth, and now Benjamin Miles up to fifth. Jack Mitchell currently sixth. Seventh is Jessica Shelton. Jonny Gardner in eighth. Ninth is Matt Haas, and Trent Dunham currently completes the top 10. Go a little bit further down the running order. It's Carter Friesen in 11th. Diego Yepez in 12th. 13th is Zachary Taylor. 14th, Preston Plourd. J.J. Roberts 15th. Then it's Spurley, Tube, Lake, Zoerlein, Caldwell, and Zych. That is your top 20. Let's give you a full field rundown. Why not? Jefferson 21st. Sebastian Cucalon 22nd. Roger Ray 23rd. 24th is Laurent Lemount. Then you got Jake Rogers 25th. 26th is Ashlin Boyd. 27th, Zack Winkle. Ryan Butcher, 28th. Kyle Mathews, 29th. James Qualls back in 30th. William Duncan's 31st. 32nd, Brady Burkhart. Andrew Miller, 33rd. Jose Millz is 34th. Cody Smart, who brought out the caution, he's 35th. 36th is Derek Hamill. Seth Cole, 37th. JT Bryant in 38th. Philip Goldberg, 39th. He's the last of the cars on the lead lap. Joshua Lee right now in 40th. Currently 1 lap down as he was on pit road. We'll keep document on that, see if he is able to return back to the racetrack. But nobody at this point is out of the race as we've got 17 laps to go here at Riki. Eli Bright, first car to step out of line. That's for 3rd place on Austin LaPlante. They were 3 wide, several rows deep at the beginning of this race. We'll see how long it takes for them to get racing like that again. And also, as I was wondering, was that caution coming out when it did the only time these drivers are going to have to hit pit lane? Was that a timely caution for all these guys now to be able to make it on fuel? Because we do not really know what the fuel window was for these drivers coming into this race. If the fuel window is anywhere upwards of 20 laps, then they would be good to go the rest of the way on what they have in the tank, provided they all got the tank completely full of fuel. Remember, we had some drivers go with fuel only, so did they get the tank completely full is a big question. Drivers that took tires, you spend a little bit extra time on pit road, so you have the better chance of making sure that the car is going to be completely full to its capacity. Is Jessica Shelton. The inside of Jack Mitchell for 2nd. Got another former winner right behind her, Trent Dunham. Trent's already locked into the playoffs, high enough in the point standings with 1 win. Now he's trying to go for his 2nd win of the season. Carter Friesen with a big run there, and that almost was 3 wide for 2nd. Trent couldn't quite get to the inside of Shelton, and now Friesen's going to battle with Dunham for 3rd. Actually, not much of a battle. He literally just drove right by him as Trent had no friends on that outside line. And now Shelton, quick move to the inside, no chance for Eli Bright to throw the block, and Shelton gonna go to the front, maybe. She doesn't really have anybody pushing her just yet. Can she make it work on her own? And not quite yet. Bright hangs tough on the outside line. Now here comes some help from Diego Yepez, Preston Plourd, and the pole sitter Shane Lake now back up to the front. This battle for the lead goes on. We got a wreck! We got a wreck in the middle of the pack! I just saw it just before I switched up to see about where Joshua Lee was. I think he's still on pit road, but we had a wreck right in the middle of the pack from about maybe the 15th position on back, and that was right in the center of the corner. That's going to be a big one. Coming out of turn number 4, it will be Jessica Shelton leading them to our 2nd yellow flag of the evening. And now if they weren't able to make it on fuel, I think with the caution coming out on lap 17, I think that if they come to pit road, they will be good to go the rest of the way on fuel. They may actually, with these pace laps, be able to save enough if they were close to be able to make it the rest of the way now. But there you see the wreck, the skid marks in the middle of turns 1 and 2. I just saw the smoke. Just when I was going to check and see if Joshua Lee had come back on track, I saw the smoke just up in the corner. And this one might have taken out a number of contenders. Yeah, oh my goodness, there's a lot of damage on William Duncan. His night is over. You can't see him back there, but that is the 9 of Jack Mitchell. Now you can see him with the helicopter cam. Wow, that car might have flipped over, actually. There he is. Duncan on pit road. Oh my, we got a whole line of cars on pit road. Zack Winkle, Austin LaPlante, Matt Haas. That's 2 cars right there. Haas and LaPlante that with a win, they could have been in the playoffs. There's Joshua Lee still on pit road. 2-time winner Ryan Butcher. Very thankful he's locked into the playoffs already as he's been involved in this one. Jake Rogers, 2nd wreck he's been in tonight as he's got a lot of damage as well on his 98. And I don't know if any of these drivers back here might have maybe gotten a piece of the wreck or not. I don't really see any visible damage on any of them, and most of them were involved in some wrecks that happened earlier on. James Qualls on pit road. He might have been collected up in it. And looks like he's the only driver that's coming to pit road for crash damage. Everybody else, they are staying out. So Shelton will be leading us back to green with less than 10 to go. Let's go take a look and see what happened. Looks like the big one took place just in tier number 2. Well, the camera's focused on the 9 of Jack Mitchell, but watch the car just ahead of him. Austin LaPlante there in the 88. I think he sees that hole down there between Jonny Gardner and Joshua Zych. He tried to get down there in front of the 73. Zych was already there, hooks him in the left rear quarter panel. They almost had it saved, but right there, that last little hit into the inside safer barrier for LaPlante shoots him back up the track, up into Mitchell. There is Zych going to come back down the track. He gets Matt Haas. There's Ryan Butcher around. Kyle Mathews got a piece of the wreck. Didn't see that he was involved. That car actually goes up and over. Holy cow! Look at that. Both rear wheels left the ground. That car did a complete nose grind in the banking of turn 2. Ashlin Boyd also involved, another driver, very thankful that he's already locked into the playoffs. And it's just so hard to see through the smoke there, my goodness. Get a little bit of an aerial look there. There is Duncan. I don't know about Bryant, Cole, Smart, Miller, Millz. I think they might have gotten through it. Take another camera angle here, and I want to take a look at that ride that Kyle Mathews took. All right, Rex just happened up ahead. You're going to see Ryan Butcher here. I think he hooked the apron, and then he got into the back of Haas. And then right here, right there, that little contact with Matt Haas on the transition of the banking to the apron. And look at the 09. My goodness, that car spent an awful lot of time in the air. How about Brady Burkhart getting through that wreck? My goodness, nice miss by the 00. I mean, you've got very limited space to be able to make your way through a wreck, especially when it takes place in the turns, and Brady Burkhart did a great job getting down on the apron and avoiding all of that. Here goes James Qualls by. I didn't really see him get much damage, but then again, you never know. Let's take another look at, see what happened as far as William Duncan. How did he get all his damage? Yeah, Duncan just got swept up into it right there. And there you see Qualls on the inside of this group. So yeah, he was in it too. There's Winkle. There's Ryan Butcher. There was just nowhere for any of these guys to go that were up on that outside line. And a number of drivers tried to get to the inside line, clipped the apron, and it would shoot them right back up the racetrack. So big wreck here. It's going to take out several drivers and sets us up for a shootout with less than 10 laps to go. So as we prepare for what will be a 9-lap shootout, Jessica Shelton showing the way here. Her teammate Charles Sanford, already a 2-time winner over in Division 2, took his second checkered flag of the season last week at Zenjoltis. So Shelton trying to do the same here, and of course trying to head into Orlando completely worry-free of whether or not she's going to be in the playoffs. Of course, as we mentioned, if she finishes in the top 10 here tonight, she's probably going to be locked into a playoff spot, but she wants to win. She wants to tie Ryan Butcher and Brady Burkhart for the number 1 seed heading into the playoffs. She lines up ahead of Diego Yepez, Preston Plourd, Shane Lake, Eli Bright, Jonathan Zoerlein, Carter Friesen, Vance Caldwell, Riley Spurleytube, and Zachary Taylor. That is your top 10. Drivers that will not finish out this race include Kyle Mathews, William Duncan, Ryan Butcher, Jake Rogers, Austin LaPlante, Jack Mitchell, Joshua Zych, Matt Haas, Zack Winkle. 9 laps down is Joshua Lee. I don't know if he is still on pit road or not. Yes, he is, so I'm surprised they haven't actually taken that car behind the wall, because with the number of laps left, there's no way that Joshua Lee is going to be able to pick up any positions on track. He will be finishing this race in the 40th position. Well, after 9 laps, our playoff picture will become a little bit more clearer, but let's set it up here. Green flag back in the air here at Riki Raceway. You got Shelton out in front. Good finish would lock herself up a playoff spot, but you got Diego Yepez there. A win could lock himself up a playoff position. Same for Preston Plourd. Shane Lake could be in playoff competition if he wins. Eli Bright, he'd need a win and a little bit of help next week at Orlando to be able to be in playoff competition. They got Friesen back there, Zoerlein, Vance Caldwell trying to get his second win of the year. As now the battle on for second, Bright to the inside of Lake. He's got a big run with Carter Friesen. He might have a shot at the lead here into turn 1, and he will. Shelton could not get down there in time. Eli Bright will go to the race lead. Now Carter Friesen right there behind him. Zoerlein's going to peek out of line for second. Friesen opens the door. Zoerlein's going to stick his nose in there. Ooh, Friesen thought about the block, couldn't do it. Zoerlein had position on him. Here comes Trent Dunham, nothing to lose. He's already locked into the playoffs. And then here come the Hertzmobiles. Riley Spurley too, Benjamin Miles. Sebastian Cucalon, he could get into the playoffs locked in with a good finish. He's on the inside line, to speed him inside line. Jonathan Zoerlein to the inside. He's going to go for the top position on Eli Bright. Zoerlein 26th in the point standings. Had a decent outing last week at Zenjoltis, but now he's going to have his hands full with Riley Spurley-Tube, who's now going to get to his inside into 3. He's got help from Benjamin Miles. They're not teammates, but they got the same sponsor. Hence why they're different colors. Spurley-Tube, the black car. Benjamin Miles, the yellow car. And now Spurley-Tube's going to leave fellow Hertzmobile out to dry. No, he's not. Moves back up to help him as Cucalon's got Shelton on the inside line. 3 wide, they will go for second place. Spurley-Tube trying to block all he can. He's 25th in the standings. He could possibly get into a playoff position with a win. Now Shelton, who faded back just moments ago, back up in the second position. Jonny Gardner going to move into third as they're 3 wide for about the 5th position on back. 3 wide, 3 rows deep as we get into the closing stages of this race here at Riki. Tristan Fowlkes now up into the 4th position. Roger Ray, first time we've seen him up in the top 5 here tonight. He's in 5th, trying to hold on to that spot as Shane Lake is hounding him for a spot back in the top 5. The pole sitter making his way back to the front. We're at the point, I think, if a caution were to come out, the race would end under yellow. So if the caution came out, we'd be racing back to the yellow flag and theoretically the checkered flag. As now Shelton gets pushed up to the high side. Here comes Tristan Fowlkes to the bottom. Tristan Fowlkes got a pole not too long ago. He now wants to get a win. He's right behind Riley Spurley-Tube. He's got a deck lid full of Roger Ray's Delphi Chevy. And now Ray's going to go to the inside. With Spurley-Tube moving high, moving low, stopping whichever line gets the momentum. Question is, can he block them for about 3.5 more laps? Now Shane Lake. He's got Eli Bright down low. He's going to go for second. Can he get a big enough run to be able to get the top spot? Nope, can't even get second as Roger Ray was able to just barely tuck down back in front of him. How about Patrick Zych up there in the 0-4? He had damage from an earlier crash, but he's still aerodynamically sound, still fast. He's up in the top 5 as Roger Ray gets to the inside of Riley Spurley-Tube for the race lead. Everyone in this lead pack still could have a shot at winning this race. Roger Ray, 29th in points. This could be a Cinderella story. If he wins, he could maybe get himself a playoff spot, but now he's got trouble on the inside. That's Eli Bright going back for the top spot. Look at them all up there on the top side. Not very many down on the inside line. Now they start forming up. Bright, Patrick Zych, Carter Friesen, Diego Yepez. 2 laps to go here at Riki Raceway. Bright was able to clear Roger Ray for the top position. I see some drivers looming back there we haven't talked about for a while, but they might be a factor. All former winners, Jay Jefferson, Brady Burkhart, Vance Caldwell, all lined up on that inside line. Top 4, single file. It's Bright, Ray, Zych, Friesen. Here comes Ray to the inside for the top spot. He's got friends, and Bright has none. Coming out of turn 4, this field will see the white flag. If we cross the line, we will race back to the checkers. White flag's in the air. 1 more lap to go for Roger Ray. He's got his buddy Carter Friesen back there in 3rd. Now going for 2nd on Patrick Zych. We have a slower car up ahead. I don't know if we're going to catch them before this race is over or not. Roger Ray, Carter Friesen, 1-2, Diego Yepez. He's going to look to the inside for 2nd. That might help Roger Ray to win this race. It is going to. Roger Ray now blocks the inside line. Yepez trying to get him out of turn 4 as they close in on James Qualls. Coming to the line. It's going to be Roger Ray. Diego Yepez. Ray's going to win here at Riki Raceway, and they wreck at the start-finish line. Oh my goodness, a big pile up here heading into turn number 1. We've got a car upside down. Stuck in the tire wall. I can't even tell who it is. The smoke will not allow me. The leader, or the winner of this race, Roger Ray, is wrecked. Looks like Trent Dunham was in it. JJ Roberts was in it. Good grief. Well, Roger Ray wins, but we just had a massive pile up there just after the start-finish line. Dozens of cars damaged. One car, I think, flipped over. But the end result is Roger Ray, well, he might have to go to the garage before he goes to victory lane, but Roger Ray is going to win this race. He came into this race 29th in points. Let's see in relation to Jose Millz where he was. He was 15 points back from Jose Millz, who came in the 8th seed. Roger Ray, I can't say he's locked himself up a playoff spot, but he has certainly made himself a contender. Let's go back and see what exactly happened there. I mean, that was, fortunately for Roger Ray, after the start-finish line. Let's go to the helicopter cam and see this. As Roger Ray just catches Qualls at the start-finish line. He tries going to the outside. Qualls, I think, thought they were going to go to the inside. He moves up. And there they all start piling in. Fortunately, as I said, it was after the start-finish line. All these drivers had already crossed the line, gotten their positions. But I'm going to be curious to know, there was one car that was flipped over. And I'm not certain who it was. Oh, it was James Qualls. Down the bottom of the screen there, you see. He got flipped over. I think that was by Zachary Taylor. I mean, there you see Ray, Shelton, Miles, Zych. I think Cucalon was in it. Taylor, Qualls. Just about everybody that was up in the top 15 might have gotten a piece of that wreck. Wow. What a finish. Roger Ray's going to come away with the victory, and of course the question, has he put himself in contention possibly next week at Orlando to get one of the 8 playoff spots? We'll have to wait and see. He's already gotten one of the things he needed to get done finished, and that is get to victory lane. Diego Yepez will have to settle for second. Brady Burkhart brings it home in third. Carter Friesen there in fourth, with Vance Caldwell completing the top 5, so Caldwell might possibly be putting himself into a locked-up position in the playoffs. Sebastian Cucalon, all he needed was a good finish to get himself a locked-up spot. So 6th place, I think Cucalon has confirmed himself as a driver here in Division 1 that will be battling for the championship. Trent Dunham brings it home in 7th. He was already locked in. Then you got Patrick Zych, Zachary Taylor, and Eli Bright completing your top 10. Jessica Shelton finished 15th. I think that'll be good enough for her to lock herself up a spot in the playoffs as well. So I think now we've got 6 drivers at least that are confirmed in the playoffs, those being Brady Burkhart, Ryan Butcher, Ashlin Boyd, Trent Dunham, Sebastian Cucalon, and Jessica Shelton. Now, the question mark about Vance Caldwell with that top 5, we got to wait and see, and then it's going to get really interesting for that final position. We've still got drivers that with a win next week could certainly put themselves into that final playoff position, but right now you've got Jose Millz. Where did he finish this race? He finished all the way down in the 29th position, last car on the lead lap, so that does not help him. Roger Ray, we mentioned, came into this race only 15 points behind him, and Ray wins the race, so Roger Ray may have leapfrogged up and into that final playoff spot. We got Jay Jefferson finishing 14th. How far ahead of Ray was he? He was 18 points ahead, and he only finished 14 spots behind. And Seth Cole, where did he finish? He finishes in 25th, so I don't think he's going to be right at this moment in the hunt for that final spot. So right now, I think the way it looks heading into next week, it looks like we've got 6 drivers right now confirmed. Ashlin Boyd, Trent Dunham, Brady Burkhart, Ryan Butcher, Sebastian Cucalon, and Jessica Shelton. Vance Caldwell looks like he could have a locked-up spot if we don't have another different winner that is above him in the point standings go to victory lane. And I think right now, heading into Orlando, not counting any possible new winners that are ahead of them in the points, that 8th spot right now is going to be heavily contested between Jose Millz and tonight's winner, Roger Ray. We're just going to have to wait and see if that is indeed the case. As we look on down here, we showed you before, but we'll show you again the drivers that finished out of the race after the second caution. We didn't have anybody out of the race after the first wreck, but we did have a big wreck for our second caution. Kyle Mathews, William Duncan, Ryan Butcher, Jake Rogers, LaPlante, Mitchell, Sakuli, Haas, Winkle, all finished out of the race, and Joshua Lee had some kind of problem that caused him to finish on pit road at 20 laps down, and he will finish in the 40th position. So, as the playoff grid looks a little bit clearer here for the Division 1 drivers, still a couple of questions need to be answered, but Roger Ray may have just put himself into the playoff picture with this win here tonight at Riki. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to give us a like, subscribe, become part of the crew today. We have shown you full finish results, and these are your overall point standings heading into next week's race at Orlando. It's also just noticed that we're going to have a pretty good points battle for the regular season championship too. Ashlin Boyd finishing way down in the finishing results. Trent Dunham finishing in 7th, so those two might make it a pretty good fight for the regular season championship as well. But tomorrow night, we've got the Division 2 race here from Riki Raceway. You're not going to want to miss it. It's even more hotly contested for playoff spots over there. So until then, I've been Seth Cole, and you've been watching a production of NNSCRA Offline Racing at its best.